Uganda, the so-called Pearl of Africa, as Queen Elizabeth so once eloquently put it. The British did indeed rule this place for about 70 years, mainly using its lush fields to enrich the British textile industry by producing cotton. Uganda was given independence in 1962, but as with most countries which got independence from European colonial powers, they fell into a bloody civil war for 24 years. That was until 1986, when the current president, Yoweri Museveni, united a land of over 50 tribes and 40 languages. This gave Uganda a sense of peace, which its neighbors in Rwanda and Congo would have to wait a lot longer for, or are still waiting for. Combine the sense of national unity with beautiful waterfalls, absolutely breathtaking forests, and amazing cultures, and you have the perfect country for a little adventure. The journey starts in the bustling capital city of Kampala, which has some of the worst traffic in the world. Seriously, Top Gear, we're not exaggerating. It took me about 3 hours to complete this 5-kilometer Uber ride. As you can see, I'm not the only one that's not enjoying this traffic. The only reason I actually didn't get up and walk out was because the poor lady actually had to drive through this traffic in the first place to come get me. So that would have been a bit rude. I then spent the night wandering the streets and then decided to get a haircut of all things the next morning.
So I'm going to maybe see if there's a boda that stops, and then I'll ask them to see if there's a nice place to get a haircut. We'll see. I just stop at the supermarket up here and get something to drink. It's quite hot this morning. I caught a boda again and brought me here. See if I can get my haircut. Now I'm just trying to get back onto the main road that connects East Kampala to the center of the city, which will be where I can turn off into area of stay, pick up my bag, and maybe grab an Uber down to city center for the shuttle. You notice a lot of these goats on the streets here in Kampala. They actually are not supposed to be free, as I explained in Fort Portal. Same rules here, but I see this area is a little bit quieter. So maybe it's the case. So I just got off a boda now, just down there. Yeah, I decided to take a boda at the end because it was I actually was lost. Like the city just keeps weaving into different towns and whatever, and everything looks the same. So I kind of got lost. I just took a boda, and they don't cost much. I mean, both ways. I think it was about a 3-kilometer journey from where I was, and both ways with the boda was about 2,000. So in total it was about $1, basically about $1 to go both ways, about 6 kilometers.
But if I was really going to explore this country, wandering the back streets of the middle of the capital city most probably wasn't the place to do it. I wanted to see nature and I wanted to see some culture, so I needed to get to the northwest of the country. In order to do this, I would have to take a bus ride all the way west to the town of Fort Portal, and then get picked up by a guide and go by car to the southern towns near the Congo border to see some chimpanzees.
I'm just gonna go find my bus. Yeah, so cost 35,000 Ugandan shillings, which is like about $10 actually. So it's not that bad. Let me just see if I can find out which bus I'm on. While I'm waiting for the bus to depart, there's just something that happened just before we got into this bus terminal. It's like 4 guys just sort of almost jumped on the car, held the car. And basically what happens is, because Link Bus is the most popular route from Kampala to Fort Portal, which is a center for a lot of tourist activities in Uganda, lots of people try and divert you onto other companies that may be also going the same route. And there's actually been a bit of animosity between the different bus companies since Link Bus has come into Uganda, because they've taken over what was mostly other people's routes because they're so consistent and so reliable. So yeah, that's just been the only problem. There's been a bit of stuff I'll speak about that happened in the past few months. So finally, I've got half an hour later, and we're finally off. Looks like it.
If I'm being totally honest, I was slightly nervous about this part of the trip. When you Google Link Bus, the first thing that comes up is all the crashes they had just before the time I had traveled to Uganda. And some of them were absolutely fatal, killing all the people in the bus. One with a bus catching on fire and needing to be put out for a couple of hours. So yeah, I was quite nervous here. One of the reasons that nobody would ever try and regulate Link Bus is that they are one of the best at moving Uganda's population. They run an insane service which leaves every hour on the hour from Kampala going out towards the north and western parts of Uganda. It is unlike anything I've ever seen before.
Honestly, this stage of the ride is a lot better. The bus is emptied quite a bit, and also the scenery has just gotten much more stunning as we come up into the mountains. There's a lot more forest, there's a lot more tea plantations. It's all very, very charming and beautiful. Have a look. Still bumpy as well. There we go. Still bumpy, but yeah. Okay, so after 5 hours in that bus, or 6 hours, I've now made it to Fort Portal, and I'm here with John. Yes. Hey John. Yes. And John is going to take me further on to Queen Elizabeth for the chimpanzee trekking. Anyways, just have a look at this. Scenery is much more greener and much more lush than it was.
We were now moving towards the Congo border, and the heightened military presence was obvious. My guy John explained to me that Uganda was hellbent on making sure the civil war in the Congo does not spill over into Uganda. And the UN has estimated that hundreds of thousands of refugees have made their way from the Congo to Uganda in the past few years. This was evident later in the piece. We were even pulled over by the military over here, because apparently that white speed camera is a critical piece of government infrastructure, and I can't be filming it.
So they say there's a hippo down here somewhere. Yeah, just down here there's a hippo. So let's have a look. I don't see it. There's kids playing right here. No idea. Oh, there is a hippo.
I would soon find out that there was nothing unusual about children playing hippo-infested waters in this place.
Down here, I don't know if you can see. I'll show you now. There's buffalo just here in the distance, and there's a school right over there. Buffalo and a school. So this is still inside Queen Elizabeth, and it's pretty amazing. You've got all these communities within the national park. Yeah. No fences, right John? There's no fences, right? No fence, no.
So according to Wikipedia, the main economic activity in Katanguru is fishing, and gardening and agriculture are not possible due to the fact that wild animals like buffaloes and elephants often trample these plantations.
Yeah, so I mean earlier I saw the buffalo, and the school was right next to the buffalo. Then John says there was also a lion just down here, which is, it's still a community. It's still, they've got schools up the road, there was a soccer match happening up the road, and there was a lion just down the road, and it's perfectly normal. At the hotel we stayed, so I couldn't eat. So we came to the town to get Rolexes, which is the best street food here in Uganda. Yeah, so we're going to be sitting in there, and the guys over there are going to be making us some Rolexes to have later. Okay, so I'm here now in Queen Elizabeth National Park in Katanguru town, and this is the place I've got. $45 a night. It's not bad actually, 'cause it's a huge place. Only problem is, the only problem is here, that doesn't work. That doesn't work, but everything else works, so it's not an issue. So yeah, basically all these places out here on all the tourists, all these lodges and whatever, all of them, basically they use pork in their kitchen, and so I couldn't eat anything from here. So I went across the road, as I said in the last video, and I managed to get this. It's what they call a Rolex. Yeah. Well, this only costs about 20 Rand or $2.
This place for chimp trekking in the Queen Elizabeth National Park is the Kalinzu Forest Reserve. I was out in the Kazinga Channel, the main waterway in the Queen Elizabeth National Park. So the next morning I was up bright and early and ready to explore more of this beautiful part of the world, and hopefully along the way see some chimps and explore the beautiful nature of this area. Join me in the next episode.